Hello, everyone. Don with Resolute Outdoors here. So, the vast majority of people in this world, especially in the United States, aren't hunters. They're either non hunters or they're anti hunting. Um, so, I think it's important for us who are hunters to kind of be ambassadors for the sport, kind of explain to people who don't hunt why we hunt, what our draw is to the sport and what appeals to us about it. And then also today I want to kind of go over that as well as people who are hunters, maybe give you some different perspectives of reasons you might want to hunt that you hadn't thought about otherwise. So primarily I'm going to go over reasons to hunt today, and I'm going to focus more on deer hunting, although this will apply to any type of hunting. I personally just have more experience with deer hunting than any other type of hunting. So the first reason, and I'm not going to touch on it very long because it's pretty self-explanatory, is you would want to hunt for meat, put food on the table. Uh, Deer meat in particular, but any other kind of game as well, is a great way to get a lot of food for your family at a relatively low cost. It's all the buzzwords, pasture raised, grass fed, non-GMO, all those things as well. So that is obviously the common and the first reason people decided to hunt in the first place. Second big reason I think people want to hunt is that there's really a camaraderie about it that you don't get with a lot of other things. I know uh, people will go out and look at a deer camp or something else, and they'll get together in groups of typically men, but women too, and anyone can hunt. But kind of have these areas where you go with people that you care about and people that you are friends with, and kind of have this time where you can do something together, where you can focus on a third activity, kind of like how a lot of men like to get together and smoke cigars and things like that. Hunting is just kind of an extension of that, but in an outdoor space. And especially for men, there's a lot of places where men can kind of get together in groups and do things together that are exclusively for men. Hunting can be one of those things. But like I said, women can hunt too and partake in all these things, just speaking from my personal perspective as a man. Third big reason people like to hunt is that you can really give yourself a challenge. Now, most people would hunt with either a compound bow or a rifle, but you can hunt with anything. You can hunt with traditional bows or recurve bows. You can hunt with flintlocks, muzzle loaders, pistols, all kinds of different things. So, if you're an experienced or seasoned hunter, you can give yourself a challenge where maybe you say, listen, I have normally a compound archery hunter, but I'm going to go get a recurve this year and I'm going to just practice all summer and I want to harvest a deer with that. Or, hey, I normally hunt with, this gun that was passed down to me or something like that. Or, hey, I have this, old gun that I want to go try out and I want to harvest a deer with that. For instance, my father and my uncle recently had a family gun that was restored from, I believe, the 30s, that they both would like to harvest a deer with this year just because it's kind of a challenge and there's nostalgia to it. So that's a valid reason to hunt too. Get out there and kind of push yourself in different ways. The fourth reason someone may want to hunt is that it's a great excuse to get out into nature. So, hunting typically starts in the fall, at least in Pennsylvania, for a small game. September, October for an archery, and then goes all the way to February. So a lot of times these are times of year where people aren't out in the woods very often. A lot of people that if you do hike or do recreation, you're out in the woods. Spring, summer, fall. But once they're getting into November, especially December, January, February, you're not going out in the woods as much. I mean, certainly a lot of people do, but a lot of people don't. Um, Being able to go hunt and kind of sit down in the woods and kind of see the nature pass you by, it's really something special to go into the woods in late November, early December. Everything, frost on the ground, frost on the ground. Each the trees, leaves are off the trees. They're kind of all coated in like an ice or a snow, and then you can sit down and see the wildlife go by. So there really is something special about experiencing nature at that time of year and kind of just being truly a visitor then, especially because there's not that many people that go in the woods at that time. So you can really kind of experience nature in a different way when you're hunting that you might not be able to experience otherwise, especially if you go to um, state parks or national parks where it's, for lack of a better word, a very touristy area where when you go to, at least in Pennsylvania, state game lands, those aren't places people are walking on nearly as much. You certainly can, but especially during hunting season, it's not some place where you're going to go run into a bunch of people. You're going to probably be, you and other hunters are going to be the only ones out there, You can truly enjoy nature then. The fifth reason that people might want to hunt is that it's a way to have living history. So in Pennsylvania here, I've mentioned before in one of my previous videos about flintlock hunting, and there's a flintlock only season, from online, being in different Facebook groups and things like that. There's people who really take that seriously, where they actually dress up in frontiersman, revolutionary era type garments, and they go out and they hunt in groups together. So they get the camaraderie we talked about earlier, along with being able to do some sort of living history, some reenactment, that you're actually out there harvesting a deer, dressed in the appropriate attire with the appropriate gun, um, doing something that the forefathers of this country relied on. You couldn't just walk down to the store and buy a pound of ground beef. You had to go out and harvest a deer if you wanted to eat, or any other animal. Like I said, this is for any type of hunting. I'm just focusing on deer hunting. It's my personal area of most experience. I won't say expertise, but experience in hunting. So you can kind of live out, how your ancestors did things. Even, with normal rifle hunting here in my parts of Pennsylvania, when I was growing up, and I believe still now, is that you get the first day off of deer season from school. So it's something that's so culturally significant that, school is off on the first day of normal rifle deer season. So being able to kind of partake of that history that's happened for generations, that, your father, your grandfather, your great grandfather, actually blood related, or spiritual grandfathers per se, for token, is something that you can kind of live out and be a living reenactment as well. And then I think the last reason for hunting, and this is probably the one that gets the most ire, and I think the probably in my opinion the least valid, but certainly valid, is trophy hunting. Now, there's nothing wrong with trophy hunting. People who partake in that, buy their license, do all those things. They, participate in the active management of game, and the active management of game, and they help, support the DCNR and things like that that actively maintain the woods and the animal population. So I have no issue with that. I would say that, for me personally, if that's the only reason you hunt, I think you're really missing out. But it's a valid reason too. But this is the one that gets the most ire from non-hunters and anti-hunters. Now, like I said, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Obviously, I would love to go out and get a buck, a nice 8-10 point buck. But if that's the only reason you're going out, I think you're missing out on a lot. So most people will be multiple reasons for hunting. Most people aren't going to be categorized in just one. I think almost all of us who are hunters kind of fall into all these categories in some way. So I'd like to know down below what you guys think, where you think you fall into these categories, what's more important to you and what's less important to you. And I'm sure there's some areas I've missed as well. This is kind of just my brief synopsis of what I think is really important for hunting and why someone might want to hunt, but it's definitely not an exhaustive list. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. This is Don with Resolute Outdoors. Until next time, I'll see you.